My name is Derrick Lewis Koehler.
Lewis Koehler.
Lewis
Okay.
Koehler.
Where'd you get Lewis at? Where'd Lewis come from? Do you know?
Lewis is from one of my uncles.
An uncle.
My family passed names down, and they usually became grandkids' middle names.
Okay.
Is what they actually became.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
cool. So is that on your mom's side or your dad's side?
my dad's side.
Your dad's
mainly.
side. That's usually how it works.
Right.
Yeah.
My mom, not to get into but my mom's side, through no fault of her own, is this didn't have family to pull from.
Okay. Gotcha.
My mom didn't talk about, and we could probably get into this later, maybe.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
I never knew my mom's side at all.
Really?
And to talk to my mom to this day is sometimes she'll talk about it now more. But growing up, it wasn't something we talked about a whole lot.
Really?
And there's a few reasons why that I know.
She got brothers and sisters?
Yes and no. Let me explain.
Okay.
I'm a half brother, half sister. She's the only child to her original mom and dad.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I guess you would call that an only child. I guess,
would. Yeah. I would. Yeah.
But her mom died. Her brother died. Her half brother died. Her dad. I don't know what to say on film, but I'm just gonna.
No,
say
go ahead.
Her dad was abusive in a sexual way.
Oh, okay.
My mom grew up that way, and
Gotcha.
you just knew. And I'm sorry, I'm getting off on a big
No,
tangent.
no, no, no. We're not going in any kind of.
I'm sorry.
No, we're not going in any.
And I don't mean to get in this deep from the very first question.
No, that's okay. No, that's good. That's good. I mean, how far back can you look? How far back do you know of your roots? I mean, in other words, is there a family tree that you can?
It's funny you say that. My brother just got on that.
Ancestry.com?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And it's, at first I was like, but it's interesting.
Yeah,
It is interesting. And last time we were over there with my mom and my brother and me together, we went on it, and it was quite interesting. I would have to ask my brother, because he is really
into it?
he really is into it. Yeah.
I mean, did you guys immigrate from Europe, I'm assuming, at some point? I mean, do you know anything about it, or do you?
That's going to be another funny story. It's going to be sometimes. This is pretty good. I like this.
Okay.
I like this. By the way, I'm 51.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry.
No. I'm gonna get that up.
Sure.
We're 51. We are in St. Clair, Missouri, and
January 29th,
2023. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know my real bloodline.
Really?
My last name is Koehler, as you know.
That's German, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes,
I mean,
yes. It is German. Here's what I mean. Here's where it happened back when my grandfather on my dad's side, okay, growing up, our bloodline, my real last name should be Berry, Berry. It should be. That's my bloodline.
Really?
Koehler is not my bloodline. Yes. Yes, I am not bloodline Koehler.
Why?
At all. Here, I'll
Okay, yeah, that's
that.
why we're
Right.
here.
It's interesting, isn't it?
That's why we're here.
You're like, really? You're not a Koehler? No, I'm not.
Interesting. I've known you for how many years now? I did not know that.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, it's not something you normally talk about.
It's not, but this is
This is why we do it.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes, it is. It is. My grandfather's name is Doris Berry. His real last name, Berry Koehler. Okay. Growing up, he was Doris Berry.
Okay.
So there was no Koehler in the mix. Just Doris Berry was his name. His father was very abusive, a drunk. And when his mom and his dad, who was the abuser, when they divorced.
What year would this be? Okay.
That part
is
I don't know.
Is that in the early 1900s then?
My grandfather was born in the 20s.
In the 20s, so it'd be in 30 something.
He would have been a young child.
Gotcha.
The next person that she met was Mr. Koehler. Right?
Really? Okay.
Yes. Again, no bloodline there. That's not my grandfather's bloodline father. my grandfather disliked his real father so much. I mean, so much from the abuse.
Right.
He didn't go into detail what the abuse was. He doesn't have to.
Mm-hmm.
And he loved his real dad because he finally had and felt like he had a real dad in Mr. Koehler. That he never legally changed his name to Koehler. That happens later. He just took the name Koehler.
Really?
So he always legally was Doris Berry, and he added the Koehler himself from a very young age. He added it himself because he loved his dad,
Right.
Mr. Koehler, who's not a blood line, you know. Imagine hearing this whenever I'm a kid. Like, we're not a Koehler, what? Now, that was probably back in the 30s-ish, okay? He didn't legally change his name to Koehler until the 80s.
Really?
Legally.
He went 50 years like that.
It had a lot to do with Social Security, and he had been using Koehler for years, and the government sees him as Doris Berry, right?
Right.
So that was, it's quite the story.
That is.
So when you ask me about my bloodline, I'm going to tell you I don't know, because if you trace it back through the Koehlers, that's not my bloodline.
That's not your bloodline.
Right.
Berries are.
Berries are.
So and what nationality is Berry? Do you know?
I do not know. I would have to ask my brother. I would love to next time. I think we'll
yeah, sure.
I'll have the information to cover that.
Yeah, isn't that cool?
Yeah, very cool.
I didn't know that. So where'd you grow up?
I was born and raised in St. Louis. Grew up in Ferguson and Florissant is where I grew up at. Really right close to the airport.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. You heard these. You get used to it, but you hear these jets flying over all the time.
Right.
I didn't realize it because you get used to anything if you're living next to a railroad track.
It's like railroad tracks. Yeah, we don't
get used to it.
Don't even pay attention to it.
My dad took me out there years later. You know, I'm talking years later,
right,
when my father was still alive, and we went out there to revisit my first home. I wanted to see it. Right. Where was my first home? My first home that I remember. Sorry, keep hitting that mic. I apologize.
It's all right.
But every time I went to talk to him, all I heard was a plane flying over. And I stop and I go, "Hey, Dad, was there this many planes flying over when we were kids?" He goes, "Yeah, you just didn't hear them because you were so used to it."
Got used to it.
Yeah. I mean, right there.
Yeah.
Right there.
So how far back can you remember in that?
About age 3.
3? Okay.
Yeah. So many memories, I guess, I remember getting a teddy bear at about age 3 for Christmas.
Oh, okay.
I remember it being wrapped up with a big bow under the tree. When you think back that far, it's kind of fuzzy.
Oh, sure.
Things are fuzzy,
sure.
you know. Yeah. I remember that. I still have that teddy bear to this day.
Do you really?
Yeah. Yes. I keep it in storage.
That's cool.
I remember a lot of things from that house. Little, like you said, little bitty snippets in my.
How big a house was it? I mean,
little bitty home. They were cookie cutter homes.
I got you.
And they were
track
small.
home kind of things.
I mean, little small box. Funny story. The front windows had like shutters, those metal tin shutters that came down over the windows.
Really?
And it covered the windows kind of like that. And on the front of them, by no fault of our own, had big K's on them.
Really?
So you swore to God it was Koehler. No, my parents bought that home and they already had the K's on them. And I'm like,
it was built in.
Right. This home was made for us, right?
And we got to take it.
Yeah. So that was my first home, was in Ferguson. And then we moved to Florissant after that, which is real close to each other.
Did you get a bigger house?
Yes, much bigger.
Moved bigger?
Much bigger.
And how many kids were there? You and your brother?
Me and my brother.
Okay, just 2 of you.
Just 2 of you.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
So tell me about your brother.
What do you want to know?
Well, how far back can you remember him? You were the youngest, obviously.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
We were born about 18 months or so apart. Wait a minute. Yes. Yeah. About 18 months.
18 months?
Yeah.
I've never met the man, so I can't really qualify it, but I've heard you tell some stories. So was he always a hellraiser?
I guess you would say black sheep, hellraiser.
Gotcha. Okay.
He actually got the most attention.
Gotcha.
I didn't need attention. And I've talked to Mom about this. If I chose to be one of those kids who, all my life growing up, you paid attention to him and not me, and he needed it. He needed it. He went to a lot of special schools growing up. He never was in part of the main schools growing up
Really?
in our single digits.
Was that because of
Attitude.
did he have
Attitude?
oh like
My brother can't be around people. This is going to sound bad. It's going to sound wrong, but he is a truck driver for a reason.
For a reason.
He's tried. By his late 20s, he had 65 jobs. By his late 20s, I'm not making that up. We went as a joke. Me and him went up to the unemployment office, and back then you could ask him for paperwork readout, how many jobs you've had. And me and him were joking around, you know. I'm guessing, you had 15 or 20 or whatever.
Right.
And by that time, I think at age 28, he had 65 jobs, and my jaw dropped because he can't work around people. He's always had a problem. And that goes back to his childhood. Going back to the original question, he's always had problems.
Was that something that was that from nurture? I mean, was that from birth, or was that something that
Funny you say this.
happened during, yeah.
Funny you say this. We joke around about it now, but I was an easy birth. I've always been the good, I hate saying this, the good kid, right? I was born quick. My mom says, you were quick, you were easy. I didn't need to be told to clean my room. I was very straight. I was very neat. Everything made sense to me. My brother was born feet first. At the very beginning, they say he was different. He wanted to come into the world different. This is me, feet first. This is where I'm coming. This is the way it is, right? They had to turn him around inside of her. So when he was born, my dad likes to make fun and say he had an egg-shaped head because they had to use the tongs to turn him around with, right? He had double pneumonia. When he was born, almost died. He is probably my best friend because going through all the shit that he went through, most of it is self-inflicted. I get it. He's tried killing himself many times.
Really?
Many times. Not anymore. Not anymore. I was the positive one. He was always negative. Why is life worth living? It's worth living because, for me, I always see, especially when the world gets dark, I always see the light. Lots of people who think that way, he can't see the light. And I was always there telling him, it's going to be better. One of these days we're going to be, and this is, I like this story. One of these days, Glenn, we're going to be sitting down at 40 or 50 years old. We're going to look back. We're going to be having a barbecue. Life's going to be great. You're going to see it. Trust me. Trust me. He's always like, what life isn't worth living? Screw everybody. Screw this. Screw that.
Really?
And
so he's definitely a glasses half empty kind of guy.
Yes. And I'm always glasses half full. Always. Always. Why do I want to waste my life and my time on negativity? I feel like I've just wasted that last half hour on negative thoughts or negative memories, or not to say we don't have them.
Sure.
But I think it's what you do with them, how you process them.
How you respond to them. I think you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
some people take it pretty personally, and I have never been in that position, so I can't really qualify it. Yeah.
He did a lot of wrist slitting. He did a lot of putting a gun to his head. He almost succeeded one time. If one of his ex-wives, his first wife, sorry, if she would have answered the door when he went over there, he had sawed off his 12-gauge shotgun and he had put it up against his head.
Oh my!
And he went to her door in Pacific, and they weren't right anyway. They should have never been together. And I already knew what my brother's weaknesses were. I knew what his problems were, things that would set him off. And
did that start early in life? Or
very early.
Very early, really.
So I grew up with it. So you have to realize by age 10, 11, 12, me at that age, he's 2 years basically older than me. By that time, I was done. I'm like, if you want to kill yourself, kill yourself. Go ahead. By that time, you're done. So people didn't understand why I had that reaction.
Gotcha.
You're not being sympathetic. I am. But I'm so tired of it.
I've been down this road so many times.
I love you, and I want you to be around.
Right.
If you kill yourself, we're gonna cry, we're gonna be sad, and then I'm gonna go 2 weeks from now and have a sandwich and have some good laughs, and life is great to me. Life is good, and I'll miss you. And I tried to explain that to him.
Hard to do.
It is, because, and I'll be honest, I don't understand that thought.
Yeah,
I don't
like
understand
too.
that how you can't go, things are going to be okay. Put one foot in front of the other and things are going to be okay.
Yeah.
I can't see being stagnant in that thought.
It seems like a waste of time, but again, I've never addressed it,
It
so it's hard for
does.
me
It
to
does.
qualify it.
Well, he went to knock on her door. She was home. She was listening to loud music and never heard the door knock. He was waiting for her to open up the door so he could pull the trigger and blow his head off.
Oh my gosh.
She was home that night. He almost succeeded a couple years later. Again, it always has to do with his heartache, a woman, something like that, right? He took a bunch of sleeping pills.
Gotcha.
Later on. I don't know how in depth you want me to get, but
no, that's okay. That's yeah. We'll move on.
Yeah, because I'm going to waste all of your.
That's fine.
Wow, I didn't realize I was going to be talking this long.
No, that's okay. It's easy to do. You know how it is when we get together.
Yeah.
Well, I want to ask you about a favorite memory you have from when you were a child. Something that really made you feel good that you look back at and you say to yourself, I can remember that because that was good. Yeah. Something? Yeah. I mean, single digits in your life, the single digit years.
Single digit years.
Yeah. Something, when you were in school, maybe at home, something that happened that really, really you look back at Christmas, whatever. And that can include getting your ass kicked by your dad if that helps.
Oh, trust me, as you know very well, my dad kicked our asses.
Yeah.
Very well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Single digits, I don't really I guess it's gonna sound weird, but I was still developing and I'm just Derrick, I'm there.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just having not those type of memories that you're asking me about didn't happen for no fault of my own. They just
right.
I didn't start developing those. Oh my God, this is hilarious. This is funny. I love this.
Right.
Those type memories until I was probably past double digits.
Gotcha.
10, 11, 12, and on.
Gotcha.
Right.
Okay.
That's
tell
when
me
I
one of
started
those.
too.
Tell me one of those.
I've got a million of them.
Okay. Good.
And believe it or not, the person who I just told you about, my brother,
right.
was the reason for a lot of them. Yes, he's a little off. Yes, he's a little, but you will not meet another person who is more entertaining and you'll just go, oh my God. And in school, there's nothing he wouldn't do.
Oh God.
Nothing. He's the kind of guy who he doesn't wear underwear, and you'll say to him, you won't pull your pants down. Whoop, down they go. And then he'll grab his junk and go, look at there, look. My dad pantsed him in Walmart one time.
Oh.
I'm standing here, my dad's standing here. My brother's in the middle. Growing up, my dad always did the nail ya. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
So a lot of pictures you will see me and my brother holding our crotch area, and my dad's in the middle just smiling. So you know why we're holding our junk, just to let you know, because he always liked to hit us. And whenever you went to get, I love this, by the way. Whenever you went to get, because we got hooked too. Whenever you went to get a sandwich and there's something to drink, growing up,
right.
And you came back with a drink and a sandwich in the hand on a plate, and you walked. You would stop, and Dad would be over here, and my brother would be over here, and it didn't matter. I could have been in my brother's spot. You walk in, and you go, damn, because now you have nothing to block yourself with. You would just go over there like this, and you'd put up with all the hits,
Oh God.
That was the way my brother grew up.
Sound like you were living in high school all the time.
And that came from my dad.
Oh my God.
But the double digit years is where I got most of my memories. My brother,
Gotcha.
We had, by that time we were living in, we had moved all over the United States.
Where did you move from?
Well, as you know, we started in Ferguson and Florissant. I've moved to Arizona. I lived in Phoenix a couple places. I've lived in Detroit a couple places, St. Charles. We actually came out to Franklin County, where we're at now currently, in 1984. A lot of traveling, a lot of...
Did you do that for your dad's jobs?
No.
Oh, no, really?
No. There was...
How'd you end up in Phoenix then?
I know now. I know now. I didn't know then. And I don't know if I want to discuss it.
Okay, that's fine. How about Detroit? I mean, was that just another move that...
My mom even though my mom doesn't have blood family, okay, and her real dad, which I've told you about, her real dad. Um, when my mom was on her own at 14, by the way, 14. Can you imagine that? Because her real dad, she hates, and that word, like, why do you hate? No, hate. She hates him. How do I explain this? It's her real mom. Before her real mom died, married another man, and that man was a really, really good father. He's from the Michigan, Detroit area.
Okay. Gotcha. So it was relatives then.
But when she passed, whenever she had a car accident and died, naturally my mom goes to her real dad. So the law says that.
Gotcha.
The law says that. She wanted to go with what she considered to be her father, but there's no blood relation there. So the laws do not look at it that way.
Right.
Her real dad stuck her in an apartment in downtown St. Louis at 14 and didn't want nothing to do with her.
Oh my. Jeez.
Right? So she's had this hard shell built up around her of
I don't blame her.
of a hard life, right? And man, it'll make me cry thinking about it, because
Oh
like,
yeah, I
fuck,
won't do that.
Yeah. And
I'm not one of those interviewers where I got to get you to cry. Tell me this: what brought you out to Franklin County? I always ask everybody that, because Franklin County, it's like, how did you happen to get
I
here?
always lived in like city dwellings areas, right? We always did. So call me a city boy growing up. My dad worked at the Jewish Community Center in St. Louis,
Oh, okay.
as did my grandfather. JCCA. I went there many, many times with my dad. Loved to play in the handball courts and whatnot.
Gotcha.
Right. Well, he knew a guy who owned a home out in Lubering,
Ah.
which is close to Londell.
Sure.
If you've never been in Lubering, this is how Lubering is. Oh, we're in Lubering.
Yeah, it's about as big as this room.
Oh, we just left Lubering. it's about that big.
Right.
So he knew a guy who owned a home, who had a home on 16 acres. Right? At this time, we're living in St. Charles.
Gotcha.
My dad just talking to a guy, and at that time we were living in apartment complexes. Lots of memories, lots of great memories at that place. But in my life growing up, I'm like, oh, here we go, moving again. Right.
Well, Lubering's a little bit. That's quite a culture shock.
It was for me. Yeah. So my parents bought the home. I didn't know this either. You growing up, you never know. They paid $10,000 for a home.
Oh my.
On 16 acres, and they had a 10-year note.
Wow.
When my parents got divorced, there was 1 year left on this. I've never talked about the property that we own, because we don't own it now. They had 1 year left. Why didn't you guys keep it in the family? 16 acres, a home.
Right.
But whenever you go through a divorce, a split up, at that time, you don't care. You don't care. And
just get rid of it.
Yeah, I was already out of the house. I was with my first wife. My brother was still living there. My 5th grade year, I have to tell you this, my 5th grade year, I went to 6 different schools in my 5th grade year.
5th grade.
In 3 different states. That was my 5th grade year. That's how much we moved.
Oh my.
Yes. And you can just imagine me being a positive person, and I am. That got old.
That'd be tough.
It got old. I'm like, okay. And I make friends easy. My brother doesn't. He never did. I did, but it still was a drag on my.
Oh, it'd be terrible. Well, when you moved out here to Lubering, how old were you? Ish.
13.
13.
So you can imagine by 13, we had moved so many times.
Tough making friends, stuff like that.
Yeah, and again, I made friends easy. Easy. I had no issue with that. I just thought, well, I'm going to make friends here, and then we're going to move again, right?
So did you go to St. Clair High School?
Started off in Londell. I did go to St. Clair High School.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, you did.
Yeah, I went to Londell School for 1 year, the 8th grade year.
Right.
and that was a culture shock. It was very different. I went from the city to the country out there, and it was country. You know what when
Sure.
I say that, right?
Sure.
It was very different from the city.
Yeah. A
And
lot lighter.
they knew I was different, and I knew it,
Hmm.
right? It was kind of like, yeah, I'm the different kid. I get
You were
it.
streetwise.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Here's how I was always the bigger kid in school, chubbier,
Mhm.
right? But I was also strong, very strong. Um, everybody wanted to arm wrestle me all the time. um,
But I mean, as far as being in the city, I mean,
I would always tell my stories about growing up and where I've been. Now these people, these kids who were in eighth grade, they knew each other from little kids,
yeah,
and my jaw drops. Like, you guys have known each other. You mean you guys don't move around?
right.
And
You're not used to
they're
it.
like, no. And I remember this very vaguely. They were surrounding me while I'm telling this story. And I'm like, you guys have known each other your whole life? I want that. I want to be in one general place. I don't mind if you move around in one place,
Hmm.
but keep your
Same core friends.
right,
Mhm.
same general area.
Most of those kids probably never even been out of the state.
So I started talking about where I had been, all the states I had been to. And their jaws dropped. And they're like, we can't wait to get out of this podunk town and discover the world. And it's funny seeing through their eyes and seeing through mine based off
Mhm.
of our lived experiences.
Yeah.
I wanted what they had. They wanted what I had. It was so amazing when I revisit that
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
Right?
Something.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
It is something.
Yeah.
And whenever
Especially when you've got years of experience to look at that and,
Yeah.
and know what that means over a lifetime, you know.
Isn't it amazing it happened all that before age 14? And I love living in this area.
Hmm.
We discussed about the positive and negatives of
Sure.
this area, but
Yeah.
for the most part, I like being in one general spot.
Yeah.
I like that. It
Yeah.
feels good. I don't want to travel. Not that I don't like traveling. I do.
Yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah. I'm comfortable.
Yes.
You're comfortable. I like to know where everything's at. I don't want to have
Yeah.
to look for the bank. I know where it's at. You know, you live in the city and you have no idea. A lot of times it's completely new to you, you know.
Yeah. I want to have a friend like me and you. I want to have you as a friend for the next 20, 30, 40 years. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I don't want to move to a different state and go, oh yeah, and call you on the phone or text
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
To me, I want to come over and see you, shake your hand,
Right.
visit with you, have a
I
good
agree
time.
with that.
I
Yeah.
like making memories now.
Yeah, that's true. That's what this
I
is.
like
That's
memories.
all what it's about. Yeah. Um, did you have a best friend in school when you were in high school? Did you run with a crew?
Growing up, I had a few friends, that I thought this one's going to be the one, but it didn't really pan out until probably in 10th grade.
Okay.
10th grade, I hung out with 3 to 4 other guys, close, packed, right? We all thought alike, basically. And over time, I'm still in touch with like a couple of them.
That's
But-
what was
but
gonna be my next question.
There is
Yeah.
one. There is one. His name is James Price. And me and him are still 35, 36 years later, somewhere in that vicinity. It could be 34, 33, somewhere. To this day, we still see each other all the time.
Oh, I know. Yeah. Okay.
You've met him.
Mhm, I have. As a matter of
His
fact.
father was out here with him picking up the truck
Yeah,
shell.
yeah,
So that's
yeah.
my best friend, and he means the world to me because at age 17, me and him think a lot alike.
Mhm.
Right? At
Makes a big
at age 17, 16, 17, we would sit and what guys do this, and we would talk about we would both love to have children. We're in school. Who does this, right? We both love to have children, and we both love to have little girls, right? Daddy's girl.
Sure.
And we would talk about this kind of stuff. Don't get me wrong, we were still dudes. We
Right.
talked about
yeah,
a lot
right.
of things.
Yeah.
But that's one of the things that me and him, and I remember at this stage, I have to include this. At this stage, I said, I will be your best friend for life. I will keep my promise. I meant that. You never know what somebody else is gonna mean that or not. To this day, we talk about that because
Mhm.
me and him both kept our promise. just to stay together.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah. And we can tell, this is going to be funny, we can tell when it's been too long since we've seen each other. Because one of us will go, hey, we got to get together. We're going to get together February 18th coming up because that's important to us.
Mm-hmm.
And when I go over there, I don't have kids of my own. I never have, as you know. He has 3 kids, and they call me Uncle Derrick.
Of course they do.
When I come over there, they're in the room. They're off of their phones, and we're all visiting and talking.
Nice.
And I love that.
Yeah,
I love that.
That's cool.
And I love whenever he says that they can't wait for you to come over. They love when you come over.
Oh, that's
It means the world to me because I don't have kids of my own. I can't.
sure.
You know.
Sure. Yeah, you can. I mean, when you have that, when you have that wish, it's hard to find that because a lot of kids are very standoffish about outsiders.
You're right.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. And
for them to embrace you and bring you in, that's pretty rare.
it is. And I love that they want to.
Yeah.
You know, he's not making them; they want to.
Right.
So that tells me I'm doing something right.
Right.
It feels good.
You're that cool uncle.
It really is, and they don't realize. Maybe they will later, how much they mean to me because
Right.
I never had kids of my own, and as I've gotten older, that kind of sort of bothers me. Kind of sort of.
Yeah.
I am the product of my choices.
Sure.
You know. Yes, I've lived a great life. Yes, I like being single. Yes, I like not having kids. With kids, there's always an X with it, and that causes so many problems or issues or
yeah. Well, plus kids can be a positive and a negative. They really can.
yeah.
I mean, I think that's part of the game, but I mean, they can break your heart sometimes.
They can. and to be honest, me and my first wife, we practiced whenever we had intercourse, had sex. I was 21 when I got married my first time. She was 19.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't want kids. We want I want to enjoy my 20s.
Right.
You know.
Right.
Everyone else was like, hey, let's do this. Not even think about it. We used 3 or 4 things to keep from getting pregnant. And I'm not making that up. We always did that. Because this guy wanted to enjoy his 20s because I saw my friends that I knew in school. They got out of school, 19 years old, had a kid. I mean, I'm going, God, really? So I've liked the freedom.
Yeah.
You know.
Sometimes that's hard habit to break too. What kind of a student were you? Were you a good student? Or I mean, let's put it this way. Were you on the C honor roll?
I was always an average student.
Okay.
And
nothing wrong with that.
It's probably because whenever I applied myself like I should have, I was actually on the A honor roll.
Oh, were you? Well, good.
That was the last year of high school. I can't wait to give you some pictures because
Sure.
You're going to go, and here's going to be a picture of me in long hair, right?
Oh, God.
Long hair,
Yeah.
rock and roll. You have to know one thing about me. I love rock.
Mm-hmm.
It's, believe it or not, it's part of my life. Me and my brother talk about it so much, right? What kind of kid was I? I was a jokester. You know me.
Sure.
I love laughter. Life sucks. Life can be hard. I love laughter. I love it. It's probably one of my most important things in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I love to entertain and make people laugh. It makes me feel good.
Yeah.
I get a rush or a high off of that.
Well, I know one time you mentioned you wanted to be a stand-up comedian.
I did.
Maybe still do.
I still do. Anybody who knows Sam Kinison,
Right.
if you don't, look him up. You might be offended, but I don't care. I really don't care. Richard Pryor, you name all the old ones, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Those are the kind of guys I grew up with, and even farther back, as a kid, this is where I get my goofiness. The Three Stooges.
Absolutely.
They are my most important influence on my life.
Mm-hmm.
The WB, the old cartoons, the funny ones,
right.
The
ones
that were made whenever they were
the ones that had subliminal messages,
yes.
Political messages built into them.
Yes.
That only an adult could get. They were great. Yeah.
So as a kid in school, I was call it the class clown-ish.
Mm-hmm.
I was this long-haired rocker, right? Never drank, never did drugs. You'd swear to God I did, but I didn't. I was actually a straight shooter, very straight. Very straight. But I was living my youth. I was, ripped up jeans. Oh my God, I miss those. I miss those so bad.
Well, when you graduated from high school,
Right.
what did you do immediately? I mean, did you go directly to work, or did you think about college, or was college a possibility,
It,
or
it never was
never was?
for me. It never entered my mind. If you knew me, you would know I couldn't wait to get out of school.
Same way.
Get me out of here. I'm going to get a job. Yes, I was scared to death, right? You're a kid, but I knew what I was made of. I'm a good hard worker. I will take charge. I will learn every job in the place, But I graduated, and it took me about 9 months to find. I had a job previously at Pizza Shack. I was in school. They have a program in school where you can go to school for 2 hours and then
CEO or
yeah,
COE,
COE is what it was called.
That's what
Yeah,
it was.
did that, loved that, because I was getting out of school. Go 2 hours, get out of school. You kidding me? And get paid? You mean you're gonna pay me to? Oh, okay.
Twist my arm.
Right. So
Yeah. How much did you make at Pizza Hut or Pizza Shack?
Pizza Shack,
Yeah, can you remember?
$3.35 an hour.
Really?
Yeah, that was the minimum wage at that time.
What year would that have been?
1988.
88. Okay.
$3.35 an hour was the minimum wage at that time.
335.
So that was my first job. Second job was Precision Rebuilders.
Oh, you went directly there.
After about 9 months, it was about a
Really?
9-month period between those two. Again, I just out of school. I
Right.
graduated May of '89.
Still living at home, I'm assuming.
Yes,
Okay.
on my way out.
Right.
By 19, I was out. Living with my first wife. We weren't married then, right? But I'm going to put this in here. 19 is when I lost my virginity.
Oh, really?
Age 19.
Okay.
You have to know me in school too. I was never looking for a woman. I wasn't that guy. I was not, and to each their own.
Sure.
I wanted to hang out with the guys, have pizza, watch some movies, have some really good laughs. I love that. I live for that. I love coming over here and spending time with you guys. It means the world to me. It does. You have no idea what it means to me. It does.
That's
It does. Because I don't really have a home base to go to where there's family directly around me.
Right.
I'm a single guy. I live by myself. And sometimes if you have too much time to think, it can be a good thing.
Wear on you.
Or it can, yes,
Yeah.
yes. But
I know you like to stay busy.
me being a
Yeah.
positive person, I love staying busy. I love to fill my mind with history, information, just information. Doesn't matter what it is.
Right.
I love learning,
Yeah.
Which is different from when I was in school. And my funny side is still there.
Yeah, but when you talk about school, that's not really learning what you're talking about.
Right. Good point.
Yeah.
Good point.
I mean, that's more memorization. I like to learn stuff that I didn't know previously
Yeah.
that work into the way I live and stuff. That's what I like. Yeah.
Well, going back to Precision, that was my next job. And I had that job for 25 years. The next 25 years, I worked at that
Worked at
job.
Precision for 25 years.
Yes. So whenever I went from $3.35 an hour and over to this job, they started you out at like $3.65, $3.85. And I'm like, wow. At that time,
Sure.
time, top pay after you've been there 3 years, you get general raises. Top pay was $5.75 an hour at that place. And at that time, I was like, $5.75 an hour. Wow.
What would I do with all
that money? It's hilarious.
It is. It is. Of course, it's all relative too.
Exactly. I tell people that.
Car back then cost $5,000.
Bread was cheaper. Everything was.
yeah.
Your money went,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what do you? I know what you do for fun, but tell everybody else. I mean, when you enjoy something, if you look forward to a weekend, what is it? I mean, you don't have to be specific, but I mean, what is a perfect weekend to you?
Friends. Hanging around good friends. Family. Me being the jokester.
Right.
And it depends on what the situation is, of course. Like last night I was out with some women and they were drinking. I'm not a big drinker, but I guess they all depend on me to be the entertainment because Okay, don't put me in that position. You
And
know,
the driver.
yeah, it's like, no, give me the mic. Okay, hello, ladies and gentlemen. You know, um, but I like family, friends,
Mhm.
good times, good memories. It might sound simple to most people or some people, but it's not. It's not to me.
True. Yeah. True.
That's what I want. That's what I like.
Anything you remember history-wise that stands out when you were a kid? Do you remember anything that took place that sticks in your mind? I mean, some people could say, I remember where I was when Kennedy was assassinated. Something similar to that. You remember anything happening that really sticks out?
I remember things, but this is going to sound bad, but they weren't that important to me at that time.
Nothing life-altering.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't. It didn't make me take pause.
Yeah.
And think about it.
Yeah. Nothing happened to you that said, I got to join the Peace Corps or something like that.
No,
Okay.
I remember I remember when the announcements came across that President Reagan had been
Shot.
shot. I remember Carter winning the presidency. I remember when the space shuttle blew up.
Mhm.
There's little bits and pieces of
But
memories.
they weren't life-changing.
I was a kid. I was enjoying my life.
Mm-hmm.
I really was. Again, these negative, I don't mean to put that in there, but these events were
Mhm.
happening. Didn't matter if they were positive or negative. They didn't shift my day-to-day process, my thought process.
Gotcha.
I like to view myself as a strong individual. And again, I'm
You
gonna
can take you can take a punch.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. All I want to do is enjoy life. I want to have a good time. Again, I'm going back to this.
Sure.
It's so important to me.
Absolutely.
Because
That's
I've
what
told
this is
people
about,
this.
man.
I told people this. On my deathbed, I don't want to think back to, yep, I worked all my life, or all these negative memories, or these. I want to look back and go, man, I had all these memories of going over to my best friend's house, going over to my really good friend's house. You know, James, Damon, family. I want to remember that. That's important to me. That is important to me.
Just so we're clear for the record, you and I met. You owned a business, and we're going to kind of go into that along
Okay.
with your marriages and stuff like that. But
Okay.
I wanted to get to that because you and I have known each other for what, 6, 7 years?
I sold the business in 2020. I don't remember exactly when you came there, but I want to say it's been, well, yeah, probably
I would say 6 years.
at least
Yeah.
probably 6 years.
And we got to talking off and on during the day when I'd come to pick up my grandson, and one thing led to another. And I got to tell you, whenever I think of somebody to invite over
Mhm.
to have a good time,
Yeah.
you're the first one I think of now. You know, and
Thank you.
I've got other friends that, you know, how friends are.
Right,
You know their faults, you still like them. That's why you're friends.
right, right.
You, I can't say that about. I
Yeah.
can't say that you have faults that I discard. Just for the record, I mean that I dismiss or I ignore.
Okay.
I've got other friends that I do, lifelong friends, guys that I've had. You know what I'm talking about.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
You've known him for years.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, like James, I'm sure there may be something that maybe irritates you about him that he does to you
Mhm.
occasionally. I mean, is that true, or is he one of those friends that there's no?
You know what? There's things I guess all of us would do,
Mhm.
but they're not enough to make me think about it, stop and pause and think
Excellent.
about it. You
That's
know
a
that?
true friend. Yeah.
It is. It is.
What's the old saying?
is.
A friend will help you move, and a true friend will help you move a body.
I'm telling you what. I'm telling you what. I've been through two divorces. I always say this. I always say this. There's been one person who's always been there, James.
There you go.
Every time I've gotten the divorce or something happens, we know each of us are on speed dial. Right?
Mhm.
You call me, everything drops, and I'm there.
Gotcha.
That's the kind of friend he is.
That's
He drops
nice.
everything,
That's nice.
and I'm that way towards him. Derrick, I need you. I'm there. Bam.
Mhm.
I'm not kidding. You're in the middle of changing a flat tire or going grocery shopping. That ends. That's more important.
Mhm.
No matter what it is, I need you. Okay, you got it.
Yeah, I always consider that to be the essence of a friendship. And I mean, it can't happen every day, because then it becomes a nuisance. But
Sure.
if I, and I can count on you,
Mhm.
I can count on a handful of other people. Some of my best friends I can't, even though they are my best friends. And again, I go back to That's one of the flaws in their personalities that I dismiss, and put aside because
right.
they're still my friends,
Right. Right.
But and there's very few. You're right.
Do you know and you know this, you're going to agree with this, that's built off of just time spent with each other.
Mm-hmm.
It's built off of,
Yeah.
Because you have no idea what this person is, what they're like when you first meet each other.
Right.
All you know is, hey, this is a great guy, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it takes time.
It does.
It takes time.
Over years and years. It really does, because there are issues that come up in one's life that you need some support. And if everybody can be friends when things are going good.
Right. Right.
But when the shit turns bad, then you find out. I mean, there's been thousands of country songs written about that. So, speaking of your marriages and stuff, I don't know how deeply you want to get into that, but how'd you meet your first wife?
Let's go back to when I was in high school. I was not a guy looking for women.
Mm-hmm.
Never was. They were always over there.
Right.
Hang out with the guys. I didn't.
Kind of like a sixth grade dance.
Yeah.
All the guys are over here.
Yeah. And I was perfectly happy. I was fine. Was past tense.
Right.
And then you introduce the opposite sex, right?
Sure.
She apparently had been watching me, looking at me, liking me, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And she leaves me the high school note, give to her girlfriend to give to me, that kind of thing. I read the note, I like you, that kind of thing.
Right.
So she was 2 years behind me. Her name is Sandra Miller. She lived in Londell, right down close to where the feed store was at that time.
Oh, I know where you're at. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. High school sweethearts. First girl I've ever made love to.
Mm-hmm.
First girl I ever kissed. I was in love. I always was a one man, one woman forever. I am a forever. I will be your friend. This is how I am. Don't give me a reason not to. But again, it's built off of time and trust.
Mm-hmm.
My word, my handshake is everything to me. Everything. So whenever I took those vows, they meant something to me.
Right.
They meant everything to me. And I guess I thought everybody thought that way. Whenever you grow up, you think, oh, everyone's got the basic same set of
morals.
Yes. And that's not true.
No.
That's not true.
No.
And you go through life and you get what?
Pummeled by it.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
What? Why? Yeah. And you can let that affect you and change your life. I don't believe in that, changing my direction. I believe I'm still who I am. I'm not going to change. But you put up a little shell, I guess, a little protective. You're waiting for the proverbial rug to be,
Mm-hmm.
So instead of that happening, now you go, is it going to happen?
Yeah. What's the angle here?
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. So did you guys have a house, or did you buy a house, or did you live around here? I mean, obviously you did.
Yeah, we lived in an apartment. I moved out at 19. Again, she was 2 years behind me, right? We got an apartment. I wanted to get out of the house. My brother didn't, right? I wanted to leave. I am such an independent person. I'll do it myself. I'll figure it out. I don't need help, which is a good and bad thing.
Right.
Right. I'll do it myself. Always been able to. I'm self-motivated. I don't know how people can't be. I don't know. I don't get it.
Set yourself up for a lot of heartache.
Yeah. My first wife, I did not know, had been cheating on me. I did not know. I could go into a big, long story about that.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah.
And I don't really.
No.
But there's so many twists and turns in that.
Well, how'd you meet your second wife then?
First wife she wanted a divorce. We got a divorce. I was by myself for the next 5 or 6 years.
Really?
I wanted nothing to do with it. People were trying to get me, introduce me. Between that time, at age 23, I had bought my first home on my own.
Oh, really?
You have to realize, I also, as you know, I also am a money guy.
Mm-hmm.
By age 21, I had $15,000 in the bank. At 21. At 21.
What would be 1990? That's pretty good.
Yeah.
15 grand in the bank when you were making $5 an hour.
I'm a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
That's the equivalent of having 100 grand in the bank now.
To me, it was normal.
Mm-hmm.
So after the split up, after the divorce, I wanted a home. So I bought my first home at 23. Scared the shit out of me. I don't care what anybody says. I'm an independent, I'll do it myself kind of person, but I was like, I was scared to death. You'd never know it, but I'm like, holy shit, this is scaring the crap out of me, right? But you get into it, you realize, oh, this is nothing. So I lived in my first home by myself. Did it all, most of it myself. Asked for help where I needed help. About 5 or 6 years go by, and people are trying to throw, "Hey, Derrick, I know somebody. Hey, Derrick, I know somebody." And I would just no. I don't know why I was that way. I know why. Because I'm strong. I'm a very strong person. You know this. Nothing could hurt me. Nothing. Throw it at me. Give it to me, right? I didn't realize what would hurt me. I had no idea. And my first wife, that fucking hurt.
Gotcha.
It did.
Yeah. So you basically built up a wall, and you said, "No more of that. I'm not going to get hurt again."
I didn't realize.
Yeah.
That's another reason why I didn't meet anybody for the next 5 years.
Right.
I was heartbroken.
Sure.
I would stand in front of the window. I would sit in the bathtub for hours. And I'm not a depressed person. I am not. And I couldn't shake it off, Damon. I couldn't shake it off. Well, what the fuck is wrong with you? I would like to go back and go, Derrick, get out of it, man.
Right.
She has moved on. She's not thinking about you.
Right.
What are you doing letting this person control? Right. So the second one's easier. The second one's like, oh, I'm out. See ya. You know, not to say it was that easy, but it was easier than the first.
Sure.
The first hurt. When I have memories now, when a soft song comes on and you have some memories, that's usually what I think about.
Really, you go back to that first marriage?
But yeah, because I was a kid. I was you know, it was
sure.
It meant something to me, and life told me, well, I thought I'm going to be different. And life go, you ain't no different. Right?
Right. Want a bed? Yeah.
Right. Want a bed? What do you think about this? You know.
Well, you don't have any children, but you've got a group that you have adopted you, obviously. Yeah.
Yeah.
How many are there in James's crew? Three kids.
3 kids. 2 girls and a boy.
2 girls and a boy.
Yeah, and they've all graduated. They're all out of school.
Really?
One of them lives in Wisconsin.
Oh, I remember you driving her up there.
Oh,
That's the one with the cat piss, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
No offense.
No,
I mean, it's just a fact.
Yeah.
I'm not. I just remember that story you told me. Yeah.
And
she's still there.
Yeah.
Still there.
Yeah. That is his first, and it bothers him that she's not around, and it's your first.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah. It'd be tough. If my kids didn't live near me. I mean, as I get older, I can see me not living here, but them always being, where I could access them pretty easily.
I've told you earlier, it's important for me to be able to see you, not text you.
Right.
Not that that's not, important, it can't be used, but I need to see my friends. I need to be around people that I care about, I love. That's important to me.
Yeah.
And me and him couldn't understand why she would move away. Well, she's a kid.
She's a kid. That's exactly right.
She would always talk to me. Excuse me. She would always talk to me because I guess she viewed me as this cool uncle in quotations, who's independent, lives on his own, makes his own decisions, and she wanted that.
You may have been influential in her.
She always talked to me. I tried to get her from moving away. I'd always tell her, stop it. She used to say, I hate being called a kid. I'm not a kid. I'm 20 years old, right?
Yeah.
And I would tell her, look, what you're doing right now, I went through that. I understand completely. She came to me and asked me all kinds of questions about finances.
Oh, really?
All the time.
Well, good for her.
Her dad would give her advice. And she'd always, I hated doing it because he's my best friend. She would go, okay, Dad. Hey, Derrick, what do you think? And I would go, damn you, because what he just told her was wrong. And I would be honest.
Hilarious.
I would be honest with her. I'm like, no, this is what you should be doing. I'm sorry. And she would always look over her dad and go, see? She was
That's
playing.
not fair.
It's not fair at all. My best friend's sitting there. What do you want me to do?
That's great.
Oh Lord.
Let me ask you this, and I know this plays a big part in your life. How's religion played a role in your life? Yeah. I mean, you don't have to go into great detail, but I mean, I know you're very
I
religious.
didn't expect this question. That's a good one. That's a good one. Boy, how do you not go deep with that one?
Well, I know, but I mean, you're not a practicing anything. I mean, as far as
I don't like groups.
you don't like
do not like
organized
groups.
religion.
I do not like
Yeah.
any. It can be Republicans or Democrats.
Yeah.
It can be the redheads and the blackheads.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter to me.
You're not a joiner. Then I
Never.
think that's
ever,
why you and I get along real well.
Ever. To know me is to know that.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
I might agree with something over here and something over here, and it's okay.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
Religion is very important to me. I grew up in the Baptist church. Of course, and it influences you. You know, as you and me have talked, as you and me got older, I would question things, but that's a whole different story.
Right.
Right. It's very important to me. It is. I'll talk about it freely with you if you want to talk about it, but it's not the most. It is the most important part of my life. But I'm not one of those holy rollers that walk around and preach, and go home and look up porn on my.
Right.
Right.
So let me ask you this:
It's important.
Did religion, which came first, your moral compass or religion, or were they the same?
It's a good question.
I mean, because a lot of people, atheists are moral.
Sure.
So did that play a part in it because you thought you were going to be bad and you didn't want to go to hell, or did you just do this is the right thing to do?
If I had to make that decision of which, it was moral. It was built into me. It's this is right.
Part of your DNA.
Yeah. Exactly.
It wasn't some kind of philosophy you're following.
Right. Not to say religion didn't have an influence.
Sure.
It's part of your environment. It's these people over here are saying, hey,
I mean, put religion aside. Would you? I think you still. I mean, knowing you as long as I've known you, I think you would be the same person.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. So
exactly the same person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're talking about the the afterlife. I see where because I feel the same way, and that's one of the reasons I think you and I get along so well.
Yeah.
Is because we'll find out later when I talk. But I mean, the religious part of it, I don't see the same as you do. But you and I are both moral, and I live by a strict code.
Well, and as we
that's one I made up.
we've dug in deep. You and me have dug in deep. We're not afraid. This is what I love about you. You're not afraid to question your own beliefs, your own thoughts. If you can't do that, I don't. Not that I can't hang out with you, but I'm like, what are you doing?
Right.
Derrick, why do you believe in this? Well, because I do. Sometimes I just do.
Right.
It just makes sense. And by the way, I question it. Question is what I believe in real? And by the way, if you can change my mind, bring it in.
Right.
Introduce it to me. I want.
Yeah. I'm open to suggestion.
Yeah. Why? I don't.
Yeah.
I like.
Doesn't mean I'm going to be a Satanist, but I mean, there are certain things. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's.
I mean, let me add, when it comes to religion, and we'll leave it alone. I guess my question
is important. Religion
it is,
very important,
and I understand that.
And let me just say, God, I believe in Jesus as my Savior. That's what I mean, because you can say religion and it could mean something totally different. But that's what.
Yeah, that's where I was going with that. As a matter of fact, when the Jehovah's Witnesses come to the door, you don't invite them in. You say bye bye, just like the rest of us. I don't like being conned.
They visited my home one time at my first home, and they gave me their spiel, and I went, my turn. And I told them, I'm like, do you want to know about Jesus Christ as your Savior? I came right at them, man.
Good for you.
So, by the way, this is a totally different story.
So, we'll move on to a completely different thing here. I want to get into this because it's important. What's it like getting older? I mean, now I know you're 51, right?
51.
Yeah. So, do you feel any different now than you did when you were 40 or 30? Yes. Because I'll be honest with you, life really doesn't start until 30, the way I look at it. So, I mean, Yeah. I mean, you're looking forward to your 60s?
No.
Okay.
To know me is to know, and
Yeah.
I will joke around about it.
Sure.
I loved my youth. Loved it. Let me add this. I like my brain now.
Gotcha.
I like where I'm at now.
Mhm.
You know. So don't confuse that with oh, you want to have the same. No. I want to have who this is now. I loved age 16, 17. I think that's when I peaked. And as you know me, I body is very important,
Mhm.
right? I remember jumping off of rooftops and landing on the ground and going, right? I remember jumping up into the back of pickup trucks. Boing, right? And I miss my youth. I miss it. I do not like getting older. I know it's a number, but I started noticing my body not agreeing with my brain
Right.
at 47.
Yeah.
47 is when I
Your
started
brain was
noticing.
cashing checks, your body couldn't cash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can still go over there and punch that bag, punch it, for a minute and a half. You're like, you can't breathe anymore.
Right. Right.
Um, and some people it doesn't bother, and that amazes me. Like, you wouldn't want to go back? No, boy, I would in a heartbeat. Not that I want to go back to that year. I'd want to experience it. I'd want to be able to go and click it and go, oh, this was great. Live it for a day, and then go.
Yeah.
I like where I'm at now.
Yeah.
I do. I
That was
really
my
do.
question.
I like.
Yeah.
I'm okay with where I'm at.
Yeah.
But if you want me to be honest, the aging process can kiss my ass.
It sucks.
It sucks.
It really does. Yeah.
It sucks.
There's no doubt about it. So let me ask you this: who was the biggest influence in your life that you can recall? Was it a teacher? Was it your dad? Was it I mean, was it your brother?
Probably my dad. Not that my mom wasn't, but if we're talking about growing up,
Sure. So yeah.
my dad.
Mm-hmm.
The lived experiences around me, again, I go back to the Three Stooges.
Right.
That people go, why do you keep going? Trust me. You have to know my brain.
Right.
Yeah.
There's no wrong answer to this. I was
comedy.
comedy. Okay.
It's important to me, and as I've gotten older, it's become more important to me. And that actually goes into us just getting together and having some good laughs.
Yeah.
Having a few drinks, singing.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't have to be Three Stooges or Sam
Right.
Kinison type laughs.
Right.
But we're enjoying each other's company.
Yeah. Sense of humor.
It's important. Yes. Yeah. I do not. I won't go over to someone's house if it's just drab.
Yeah. I don't. Looking
Stiff
back,
and-
I don't know how someone survives without a sense of humor. I don't. I think that'd be awfully boring.
Well,
Yeah.
whenever you didn't do a podcast for a while,
Right.
right? And then you send me a podcast, and the next time I already knew in my head what I was going to say to you. The next time he calls me, I'm going to tell him, how dare you get me hooked on the Gilbert drug?
That's great.
And so and influences,
Yeah.
comedy, my dad,
Mm-hmm.
lots of things. As I've gotten older, I love knowledge. I love learning things.
Right.
So that's important too.
I think that's.
But as I've gotten older,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
but my dad was a big influence. I hung around my dad a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got any regrets overall? I mean, anything big. Everybody's got regrets to some degree. I mean, I should ask this gal out. I should, but I'm talking about big ones. You obviously are comfortable with your life as is.
Oh yeah, I love
Would
life.
you have changed it in any? Is there anything you would have done differently, thinking it might be better or worse, or that kind of thing?
Excuse
If it takes that long to answer, I don't think you have any that are
me. Major,
serious.
nothing
Exactly.
nothing major.
And that's really nice to know. That's good.
If you would say you choose something that you would,
Mhm.
well, sure. I mean, I wouldn't have married my first wife.
Yeah.
But hindsight, that's a hindsight thing.
That's who made you who you are now.
That's
So,
a lived experience, and yeah. So I'm not going to
Yeah.
say that.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
my dad being a hard ass, it influenced me.
Hmm.
There's certain things, and it's made me who I am today.
Yeah.
I'm very comfortable in my skin. I love life.
Good for you.
Love life.
Good for
I'm
you.
happy.
I
I'm
don't think I'd,
positive.
I don't think I'd enjoy your company as much if you didn't. That's something that's hard to,
Yeah.
it's hard to fake.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, it really is. What are you proudest of in your life? Would it be your
Do you,
ability to
proudest
save
of?
money? The way you handle money? Would it be
No.
no?
No. No. I go back to this again. What am I proudest of?
Is it how people
The
view
founda-
you?
the foundation that I built with my loved ones and my friends.
Oh, there you go. Great answer.
That's important to me.
Great answer.
I don't. You probably realize not a lot of people do, but that's so important to me.
Yeah.
To have the foundation of true love, true. I use the word love.
Sure.
It's important to me. And it feels great. It feels great when I come over here and we're having a good time. Oh my God, I'm soaking it up.
Mm-hmm.
And it always ends too soon. On my drive home this morning, I say last night, but it was this morning. It always ends too soon. I don't like it to end. Whenever I walk out the door, I don't want it to end.
Right.
I'm ending it because I'm getting tired. My body's,
Yeah.
my body's saying, "You're done, Derrick." I'm like, I don't want to be done.
That's great.
So I can't get enough of that. So it's. I hope that answers your question.
Oh, it does. It does. Yeah. Yeah. So I guess this is one of those hokey questions, but I'm going to ask it anyway. How would you like to be remembered? And again, this is not an obituary. I'm just saying.
Wow. Okay. Good question. Because you ever talking to somebody or just thinking on your own, and you're like, "Who am I? I'm not important."
Mm-hmm.
Not to, and here I am a positive person. I'm like, I'm not going to stick out. Who am I? That's a good question. Never thought about that. Like like in this
Sure.
setting, how do I want to be remembered?
Yeah.
You know what? I want you to. It's going to sound bad. I want you to.
Well, let's just say
I want you to be able to go to say to yourself, I miss the laughter. I miss him lighting up the room. I miss his presence. I guess is a good answer.
Yeah.
Because when you're used to somebody being there all the time, even though they might not be there in the room with you, they're living on earth. They're right here with you right now. I would hope that people would miss that.
There you go.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. I know exactly what you're talking about. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Missed.
Yeah.
You had such a influence, you touched that person.
Exactly.
And
that's the key to it.
And you miss their handshake, you miss their smile.
Mm-hmm.
I
think that's a great answer. Yeah. So as we're going to round this off here, I was just curious, and this is for whoever's watching this. Are there any words of wisdom you'd like to pass along? What have you learned?
Words of wisdom?
If you could sum it up in a paragraph, what would you say? I think you touched on it several times.
Be happy.
Be happy.
Be happy in life. And I know that sounds easy. And I know some people, I try and tell them, turn the negative around. You're going to get beat up in this lifetime. But I still believe in choices. I believe we are the product of our choices. And I choose to be a happy person. I want to surround myself with other happy people. If you're not a happy person, I don't want to, it's going to sound bad, waste my time with that.
Yeah, because 9 times out of 10, it is a waste of time.
It is.
Yeah, it's hard work. Being around somebody who was...
I can't get that half hour back I spent with that person. Oh, my Lord.
Yeah.
You're thinking about that after you've spent time with them?
Yeah.
Positive.
I didn't get anything out of the conversation. That's
After I leave here, right, as an example, I can't wait to see you again.
Right.
Right?
I'm the same way.
Not, I go home, I don't want to go over there for a while now.
He's such a pain in the ass. Yeah, exactly.
So just to love life, be positive, be happy, smile a lot.
And laugh.
Laughing. And it's important.
It
I
is.
believe it would help so many more people, you know. And even with people who are down or negative people, or I love making them smile.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what I'll do as they're smiling? You know what I'll do? I'll go, "What are you doing right now? What are you doing right now?" And they go, "Damn you, yeah." I'm like, "Feels good, doesn't it?"
Yeah.
I said, "Try doing that more.
Yeah.
Smile.
Walk around with a smile on.
It feels good. It feels better than the alternative."
It
So,
does. Yeah, I agree with that 100%.
not that we won't go through it, because you and me will go through it,
Oh, sure. Hmm.
bad times, but
Yeah.
it's what you do. Do with it how you deal with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
yeah. Cool.
yeah,
All right, Derek. Well, thanks a lot, man. I appreciate it.
thank you.
I think
I've
that was
really enjoyed this.
insightful.
I've really enjoyed this. This is it's not what I thought.
Good. Good.
So it's a good experience.
Good. Yeah. It
Yeah.
make you uncomfortable at any